4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City. A fusion of politics, commentary, entertainment, and sports. Steve and his team bring you the latest news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, imagine a whole nation dominated, obsessed with 3 missing teenagers who were kidnapped while they were hitchhiking back from, in this case, a religious school. That's what's been going on in the state of Israel for weeks now. Ever since those 3 teenagers, I believe aged just 19 and 2 16-year-olds, were kidnapped while hitchhiking, and Israeli forces have conducted raids in the West Bank, and the nation has been constantly focused, glued to this issue of getting those teenagers back. Hamas praised the kidnappings, although they cleverly never claimed responsibility for the kidnappings. And the Palestinian Authority, because they're, in my view, terrorists with suit and tie, they were against the kidnapping from the beginning, don't you know? Yet, this occurred after the marriage of the Palestinian Authority and Hamas into a unity government. A marriage which resulted in the U.S. saying, we support that government. Who cares if Hamas, who we, the United States, calls a terrorist organization, is part of it? You're going to keep getting money? You're going to keep getting us talking to you? We support that unity government. So guess what they found today in Israel, in Hebron, north of Hebron? 3 dead teenagers. In Israel, reportedly, there were already planes in the sky. Israel is about to unleash, I hope with a fury, retaliation towards the Hamas and the kidnappers and the people who took and killed these 3 teenagers. And will this unleash another war? Well, the head of Hamas says it will unleash the gates of hell upon Israel. We've heard that before. The only question is, does Israel have it within them to finish the job? We shall see. Armstrong Williams joins us, but first, let's look at this.
Long ago, there were segregationists who made a religious argument and said that they found somewhere in the Bible, for example, a justification for racial segregation in the South, and obviously that did not hold water. Now, this is perhaps a bit different. It deals with employees of the company.
Okay, folks, Eugene Robinson, the Washington Post and MSNBC, comparing Hobby Lobby and their claims and their desires to segregationists in the South. Joining us now, folks, is Armstrong Williams, as promised, Newsmax contributor, host of The Right Side with Armstrong Williams. And Armstrong, great to talk to you again, sir.
Hello, Steve. It's always a pleasure.
Well, it's my pleasure, my honor, and it's my pleasure and honor to welcome you aboard Newsmax Television, the Armstrong Williams Show, coming to Newsmax TV on weekends. That's very exciting for everybody involved.
Thank you for your enthusiasm. We're pretty ecstatic about it on our end also. It's a good combination. I have such respect for Chris Ruddy and Newsmax and you and what you guys do in terms of the delivery of content and empowering people with their health and their wealth. And I mean, listen, there's no one else in the marketplace doing what you guys are doing. And I'm just so happy to be associated with the brand.
Well, appreciate that, and you know, you and I have always had a great relationship going way back, and I've always thought the world of you, and great to have you aboard, and we look forward to watching it on the weekends on Newsmax Television. Now, let's talk a little bit about everything that's going on here. First of all, the ridiculous analogy by Eugene Robinson to Hobby Lobby and segregationists in the Old South.
Well, you know what? The good thing about America is that ignorance and intelligence is allowed. Obviously, the Supreme Court, in its 5-4 decision, made it clear that you cannot force these religious institutions to pay for contraceptives. To me and many other people, that's just common sense. It was a very close vote on the Supreme Court, but yet Justices Scalia, Kennedy, Thomas, Alito, and Chief Justice Roberts saw the common sense and the fact that this is just unfair to churches and other religious institutions. And so, you know what? I respect the Supreme Court, even when they get it wrong sometimes, even when they voted in Affordable Care. I did not like the outcome, but I always respect the justices in rendering their decisions.
Yeah, and this is another, defeat for the Obama administration, albeit narrow. Nonetheless, this was a long-awaited decision, and it was the highlight of the court session, some may say. And and you worked in the Supreme Court, of course, and this court has knocked down this administration by 9-0 votes. 10, 12 times at this point. And this is an administration that many, including Jonathan Turley, I keep bringing him up, that say this is a president who wants to be an imperial president and is totally out of control.
Well, if you go back to January 2012, and I know you're alluding to the National Relations Labor Board.
Right, the NLRB, yeah.
Yeah, when the president tried to convince us, which was absolutely nonsense, actually, that the Senate was in wasn't in recess, and that he could appoint these two members to the NRLB. I mean, even people on the left, even people like Alan Dershowitz laughed at him because there was just no ground. But obviously, the president has little or no regard for the Constitution. He's able to do just whatever he wants to do when he wants to do it. And we're just fortunate that the three branches of government oftentimes works because it's a check and balance system. And again, as they ruled in the NRLB case, they ruled that the president, what he did was unconstitutional, and those appointments could not go forward.
Yeah, and it seems to happen to this administration time after time, which leads me to what you think. I want to know what you think of John Boehner's lawsuit. Do you think that it probably has merit, but will it go anywhere? Will it go anywhere in time so that this president will still be in the White House when it finally does get adjudicated?
You know, it's interesting when you think about adjudication. You know, listen, even where you and I sit, if I am going to file a lawsuit of this magnitude and the implications, I think the Republicans have learned a great lesson from the government shutdown, that if they had not shut down the government and allowed President Obama just to go forward, I think we would have won that Republican gubernatorial race and other races across the country in that midterm election. But obviously, I don't think Boehner would be filing this lawsuit unless he did not have some kind of indication that he had a possibility for some victory. And even if it's not the definition of what we define as victory, obviously they've done some private pollings and talked to some key people to realize that they need to bring attention to the fact that this president has no regard for the Constitution, no regard for the rule of law, and this is a president that's just out of control. And I think it reminds the American people, we the people, that there are still three branches of government, and John Boehner, who's trying to work with this president at the expense of the criticism of his own party, is finally saying, I can't negotiate or trust the president to do what is in the best interest of the American people. So this is what I'm forced to do.
And you know, I think Armstrong, and I haven't seen the suit. I don't think anybody has yet. I don't think it's been filed. But this isn't about, as the media tries to spin it, as Al Sharpton and Melissa Harris Perry tried to spin it. You know, they're calling the president uppity. You know, they try to make everything racial. By the way, I mean that is insane. Because of language that McConnell used, that the president has to be reined in. They say that means he's uppity, and that's because he's black. I mean, that kind of illogical, thinking and turning everything into race. When you hear that, what goes through your mind?
I have to tell you this. It's so amazing that you mentioned the issue, race and black. I have been so caught up in the president's policies and his decisions. His race, ethnicity has not even crossed my mind because I'm too busy trying to decipher his next moves with the policies and disregard for the Constitution. I think that's what most Americans care about. I mean, these are the same American people who voted him in office because they thought he was a better candidate. They thought he would be shovel ready to create jobs. They thought they would be able to keep their affordable care. They thought affordable care would be affordable. They thought they would be able to keep their physicians. I mean, he withdrew the troops from Iraq, and look at that pot of cake that's going on there. Look at the just total chaos in the Middle East. So I think we're so busy. I even left out Benghazi and Syria. There are just so many issues that the president has made promises on, and I guess that's why his approval ratings are so dismal right now. Until most Americans who are common sense, who've transcended this thing we call race, only focus on the policies that the president is involved in every day and could care less about his race.
Right, I agree. And I sidetracked myself on that. I want to get one more question in here, Armstrong, to you. And that is the lawsuit. The media tries to sidetrack us also with, how many recess appointments this president made compared to others, how many executive orders he made compared to others. That's not the point. I think what this lawsuit's going to be about from Boehner is the selective enforcement and non-enforcement, the announced non-enforcement and changing of settled law. A president cannot do that.
You know what? I don't think most people realize how he just arbitrarily just changes the law, disregards the law, and then select which laws that you just mentioned that he wants to enforce. And if it's not there, he goes out and creates something that is totally new. And by the time we figure it out, it has already become law. And what is even sadder is that you have a Congress who just sits back and allow this president to bully them in policies and laws that is clearly goes against our constitutional, our U.S. Constitution, which is the foundation in which the rule of law is based.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and I think that's what the lawsuit is all about. Again, Armstrong, I want to congratulate you. Like I said, I've known you for a long time. I've admired you for a long time. I think back together, I think we stayed at the same kind of crummy hotel that they put us in in Denver at the convention. It's always yeah. Go ahead.
As long as we're not in the same room.
No, we weren't in the same room, but it's great. Welcome aboard Newsmax Television. We look forward to the Armstrong Williams Show coming to Newsmax TV, and we'll speak to you again soon, Armstrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Take care. Armstrong Williams, ladies and gentlemen, great guy, and I love talking to him about the issues of the day, and you'll get to see that, as I said, on weekends starting very soon here on Newsmax Television, the Armstrong Williams Show. He's also a Newsmax contributor and host of The Right Side with Armstrong Williams. Don't forget that. But this is so true, and to hear Sharpton and Melissa Harris Perry say that this is uppity. They're calling the president uppity. No, they're calling him a lawbreaker. They're calling him a lawbreaker, and that's what he's doing by selectively enforcing laws, by getting ruled against 9-0 on the Supreme Court time after time. He's violating the Constitution with his policies and his actions. That's what the lawsuit's about. Doesn't matter if he's purple, polka dot, black, white, yellow, or green. On the Steve Malzberg Show.